Well, welcome back, everyone, to Open Line, talking about the ongoing legal battle over the property tax referendum. We have with us Jim Roberts, attorney for good government, and that's the number for good government. You've been in the middle of all of this, and so you were back. We had you on earlier when you were explaining the 6 things that we thought were going to be on the ballot in July, but that's been struck down, as we kind of talked about at the first part of the show, and now it's being appealed. So let's take some calls. Let's go to Mike, who is on line 1. Hello, Mike.
Hello. Hey, how you doing, Ben? And good evening to the attorney as well. When I look at all of this, being a homeowner and seeing how the mayor thought it would be a bright idea in the middle of a pandemic when people are not working to come up with 34% tax increase along with Councilman Mendez at large. When I see $14 million being wasted just to get kids back in school, it seems like Metro thinks they have the bank account of a Jeff Bezos and they just have liquid cash coming out of everywhere. When I see where Chancellor Russell Perkins, though, ruled recently this past week, I think it's wrong. I think he's a respected jurist, but I think he was wrong in this case. I believe always that people should have the right to vote on their future. One of the things in California, we have propositions, and one of the things that happens where people do have a right to vote, currently they have a recall for the current Governor Newsom out there, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but they did the same thing for Governor Gray Davis as well. But I believe people still do have the right to vote on their future, and I think right now anything that Mendez and Cooper are for, a lot of people in Nashville are totally against, just based on them and what they've done to this city, where the big corporations are not paying their fair share. But I had to come up with an extra $1,500. Luckily, I'm blessed to be able to have it. But I believe it was totally wrong. And one of the things they used to say in California, there should be a proposition not to have any more propositions. I personally don't think that. I think everybody, if you're a citizen, you work, you pay your taxes, you should have a right to vote. And I think right now, I want to see the other things on there, the other 5 things besides limiting what Metro can do as far as tax increase. And if you can give me a website where I can look at the other 5 issues at hand, and so I can be better educated on what hopefully I'll get to vote on in the future. And you guys have a good night. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Mike. So there you go. What do you think?
I mean, that's the right way to look at it, Mike. I mean, I appreciate your thoughts on this. We should have the right to vote on it. That should be, the mayor should want us to vote on it. The council should want us to vote on it. Understand that increase of property tax during the pandemic, they knew the pandemic was coming. They were shutting down businesses. It was almost like it was designed to hurt people the maximum amount. And what ended up happening is that our property tax revenues came in fine. We didn't even need that tax. And did they lower the rate? Not a chance. In fact, there was an opportunity in August to lower the rate to reflect the fact they'd gotten more revenue, and they said, no, we're going to spend that money.
Now, what they would say is we had not had a property tax increase for many years.
Okay.
What you are saying is you couldn't. Well, I guess what exactly are you saying? Something about 3%.
That's right.
They could raise it up to 3%. More than 3%, there would have to be a vote.
That's right.
So there had been no increase for many years. And that is the reason they say we had to have all of a sudden this large increase.
So their irresponsibility, their fiscal irresponsibility, their lack of governance and stewardship is a reason to sock it to the taxpayers for 34% tax increase. I disagree with that. What we had was mismanagement. And so we built that into this. We said, look, you're not doing the right thing. You're spending out of control, but we're going to let you raise the property tax 3% a year. And that basically tracks inflation so that our revenues increase along with inflation, and so that pot of money that the city can spend stays stable. That will be better for our government. Now, it doesn't mean that the mayor can get the credit card out and go spending, but that's what they've done over the last 10 years. They lack the political courage to raise property taxes a little bit each year, and they just put everything on the Metro credit card. And so now we have this huge outlying debt, 30 years of debt, $1 in $7 goes to debt service. If your family had one, and I'm not talking about a mortgage, we all understand buying that, but if 1 in 7 of the dollars you earned was going to consumer debt, you would be a fool. Dave Ramsey would personally drive to your house and smack you. That is a foolish way, and it's certainly a foolish way to run a government. I expect better from our public servants. So Mike, you're right on there. I appreciate it. I mean, I hope people will follow your advice and read these. I mean, what we saw in the opposition is just fear tactics, just scare. The opposition has made no effort to educate anyone.
Well, they would say, yeah, that what this would do, you'd have to roll back some of this. Our budget would be impacted if this passed immediately, right? And it would mean immediate cuts to our government.
Not as great as they seem to be saying. It would take us back to the tax rate of 2019. Remember, we had a reappraisal this year, so the tax rate is already dropped. So it's not going to drop a whole lot. We're not getting rid of the entire 34%. We can't, because the city does need some of that, but it will lower it somewhat. And let's talk about where we could cut money. Do you realize that yesterday, I think I read in the paper that they spent Metro dollars to rename a street after a drag queen? Now, I don't have a real opinion about that. I don't really care. I'm not, I don't even, but where do we find the money to do that? Most people.
I don't know a lot about it. That sounds like, but you're probably trying to just upset people. I mean, I'm sure that but that's not, we're not talking about a lot of money. I'm sure.
Well, mayor has 30 people on the staff making over $100,000 apiece. There's $3 million. Does he need 30 people on his staff? Could he go get coffee himself once or twice a week or something? There are so many places that the metropolitan government, you realize that our budget is 3 times the city of Memphis with only about 10% more people. When you look at, there's a reason that Nashville is ranked one of the worst managed cities in this country. When you look at parallel cities of equal population, our budget is anywhere from 2 to 3 times their budget.
But at the same time, we're a booming city. And we're a city where, where people would compare us to Memphis and want to be where we are.
Well, we may be a booming city. Why isn't that growth paying for itself? Why are the citizens paying for the growth of other out-of-state interests? We bring Oracle in or Amazon in. I mean, that's great, wonderful. But if it costs the citizens their homes, I think it's a bad trade. If it costs them their jobs, I mean, they're not coming in here to be Nashville. They're coming in here to take advantage of Nashville. And, they're not paying their own way. Look at the soccer stadium was supposed to, they had a mixed-use development that's supposed to provide taxes for the fairgrounds, and they just applied for something called a pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. They're applying to the government not to pay taxes, the same taxes they promised to pay to the fairgrounds to support the fairgrounds.
Our last caller asked that you go through all of the 6. We've talked about that property, and we'll do that in a moment, but I'm going to take another call here. But yeah. I do just want to spend some time doing that. All right, let's go to Raymond. Hello, Raymond.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I got a question I wanted to ask him. Do we have a country of the government, by the government, and for the government that a single judge, can overrule the people's vote and keep the people from voting? Or do we have a country of the people, by the people, and for the people, and the government works for the people and the benefit of the people? That's my question.
Well, we're working on it. All I can tell you is I'm fighting as hard as I can. And there are other people fighting. It's not just me. I'm just a simple country lawyer, but there's a lot of people backing me and helping me and advising me. And I just became the point person because that's the person that the other side attacks. And I have pretty thick skin, and I'm pretty tough, and I don't really care what they say about me because I know I'm fighting for the people of Nashville, and I feel good about that. You're absolutely right. Why is our government suing to prevent the citizens from voting? Whose interest is being impacted? Well, it's the mayor. The mayor doesn't want to give up any power. I get it. That's what politicians, they love power. They don't, the Metro Council's against this. Absolutely. They don't want to lose their lifetime benefits. They won't be able to give away our parks and greenways. Well, guess what? That's how they get these companies here, by giving away our city.
I think the mayor ran against some of those things you're talking about, but in fact I know he did. But now the judge who ruled against this said again that several of the proposed amendments were defective in form, containing vague, confusing language. And I'm reading now from the Tennessean article, so I want to appreciate that. So, for example, one of the amendments requiring a referendum to change benefits for elected officials, as you said, does not define benefit. Or elected officials. So they're saying it's vague and it is defective. Could it be written a little more clearly? What do you say to that?
Well, I would say it applies to all elected officials. So there's your answer. There's your definition. All people who stand for vote in the county that are county offices. Problem solved. There's your definition. Really easy. You can probably find that in any 50-cent dictionary or Black's Law dictionary. I'm pretty sure the elected officials of this town know what elected officials are. I think it's disingenuous to argue with it. What are the benefits? All benefits. Public service. That's the word that we use for people who serve in elected office. And you want to be a public servant? Then you should serve. It shouldn't be some cash cow. Years ago, I ran for Metro Council. I was worried about my neighborhood. I was horrified at the number of people who came to me and thought I was doing it so that I would get lifetime benefits as a council person. It didn't even cross my radar that that was a reason people would run for office. And if that's the reason you're running for office, you're a problem. You're not what the city needs, and you need to go away. And if I have to get rid of your lifetime benefits to make people like that stop running for office, I'll do it. Should we pay our council people more money? Actually, I think we should. I don't think we pay the Metro Council members enough. Absolutely. It is not a part-time job. That is a joke. It is a half-time job. But we pay you when you're on the clock, when you're working. Why should someone, let's say some 25-year-old runs for Metro Council, gets 2 terms, he's 33, and he might live to 90, have 60-something years of benefits for 8 years of service? Why is the taxpayer footing the bill for that? I'm sorry, they shouldn't. And I'll say it to their face. And that's why your council people are so against this. They don't want to lose their benefits. They don't want you, they want you to keep paying for it. And I'm against that.
All right, we have to take a break. We'll do that. There's the number if you want to call in, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.